work?
Do you know, I'm a firm believer as well, Catherine, that anybody can buy a set of tarot cards, they can learn to interpret the cards, they can, believe me, I've seen somebody sit with a book and go, oh, this means this. But I believe you've got to have that connection, that super connection, that highway connection to the universe, to those universal forces, between the cards, between your client, between the spirit world, and between what you're being channeled as well. So I feel almost like, I'm ex-military, so we used to have, we could channel hop. So if you didn't want the enemy to know what channel you were on and to listen to, so I am constantly channel hopping between what's got here, what I'm picking up from the individual, what spirits are giving to me, and what somebody just drops in my ear. So, and people say, when I say I'm working really hard for you right now, they go, why? What are you doing? That's like, you've no idea. And then when they leave, I go, oh.
So, see, I don't.
Yeah.
So maybe this will help you. My father, long ago, far away, I was 16, and my parents realized that I was connecting to something they couldn't see or feel or hear. And my dad said, you're like a receiver, and don't get yourself exhausted. So choose a psychic channel. So back then with the radio, it was 103.5. And when I wanted to be normal, I went to 98.6. So when I wake up in the morning, I always reset my radio channel to 98.6 and stay really normal.
Yeah, okay.
And it was later, one of my really good New Age friends in Texas actually said, why'd you choose 90.6? That's the average normal body temperature. I said, I don't know, but all I know, when I was 16, it was the best station around, and it was happy music.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be happy, so 90.6. So even when I say the word 90.6, I go to That's the Way. That was the song on the radio back then when I was growing up, right? Happy songs, like That's the Way I Like It. I'm being normal, whatever normal looks like, right? And then for a TV station, when I saw the spirits show up, first time they'd startle me, and I tell people, spirit doesn't hurt you. You hurt yourself because you're unaware, you're not, and it pops up, and spirit started to manifest for me in the peripheral. So I'd walk into a room and I'd see a shadow, and I'd say, stop, who are you? Yeah. And then I could have a conversation, and then I developed it further. So maybe that'll help you, so you're not tired at the end of the day, you're not working so hard, you're placing yourself physically in that energy.
You will understand what I'm about to say as well, Catherine. There are people who we see, people who we connect to. People walk in and there's just like an easy flow, an exchange of energy. It's just like, it's effortless. Somebody else can walk in and it's like pulling teeth. Somebody else walks in again, and it's like the whole room lights up. And when you're sensitive, and it was John Holland who said it once. He said,
I met John.
I've done dinner with John as well. It's interesting because his PA is a good friend of mine.
Oh,
he said, I'm over in Massachusetts. Can we drive up to New Hampshire and see him? And John's free Thursday. Can you make it Thursday?
And just John Holland is an amazing psychic. Yeah. Look him up. I got to meet him at Louise Hay's conference.
Oh yeah.
And I watched him, and because I see, he's standing on the platform, and they just lined up behind him. Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. And I saw each of the spirits like whisper in John's ear, and you immediately go, you, right there. He looked so on point. Yeah. And or some other sites like, I'm getting a message from this area. Yeah. John was like, this is really for this lady.
I love the way different people work. Yeah. And I was over, have you been to Wales yet?
No, I haven't yet.
I was, believe it or not, somebody heard about me and said, would you come and do an evening of mediumship? This was only 2 weeks ago. And I said, yeah, sure. And I went and I said, what is this building? She said, well, we're on a farm, which is now a campsite, but she said this was the lambing shed. And this lady had turned it into a small haven of peace. Right. And she turned it into like a little chapel. And there was about 30 people in there. And some people go, you? And others I'd say, I'm being shown this at the moment. And there was one amazing incident where I said, this is crazy, I know, I've got somebody's dad, he's given me, do you remember the old-fashioned diver's helmet?
Yes. Yeah.
I said, I'm being given a diver's helmet, I feel like I've got the lead belt on, the lead boots on, and eventually, and I said, I know I'm on the front 2 rows here, and this lady said, that helmet is in my mother's living room, and she said, my father worked in the Navy, but his job during the war was to transport Navy divers to various locations to deactivate sea mines. Oh, okay. So he said the whole diving thing, and then we just went on to a whole, and yet somebody else I can say, I've got a man here who passed with this condition, or I might say to you, I've got your mum here. So it depends on the individual. Right. And I've really learned as well, Catherine, that if they want to break the ice and they don't want to shock somebody and go, hey, Dad stood behind you, blah, 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 especially if they could be a little bit skittish.
Right.
I might say, I've been brought memories here, I've been taken to the golf club, I'm now in the golf house, and there's a man dressed as Santa, this is an example, and they go, that golf course, that golf club, my dad was that Santa that year, and you know, and I said, well, it's Dad telling me this, and it's amazing that, and I'll quickly tell you about spirit intelligence. There was one lady, get my husband here now, and I said, okay, I tried everything. You know you can't make them, you can't stop them. They just come in when they're ready.
They do.
And I brought brother through, mom through, dad through, everybody. I'm really unhappy, and she stormed off. This other young lady walked in, sits down, and I said, I've got this gentleman with me, he feels like a grandfather. I said, he's in the potting shed at the bottom of the garden. He's doing his plants. He said he's just getting some peace because he never got any peace when he was here. And she said, do you know who that man is, Andrew? He said, the lady that just walked out, that was her husband, my grandfather.
There you go.
And I said, spirit intelligence, I could not bring him through for love nor money for his wife, and yet the minute she walked out the room, the granddaughter walked in, bang, he was there. Yeah. So they will always try and get that message through somehow.
Somehow,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's just it, right? We as people,
Yeah.
in this, I call it a meat and bone suit. My kids don't like that word,
You
but
call
ours,
it?
the meat and bone suit.
Oh, yeah.
The meat and bone suit. I'm sitting here, and my soul spirit resides in my meat and bone suit, which is bones and water, and the
yeah.
skin holds me in. But yeah, if we have any kind of physical block with this in our brain, in our heart, sometimes the spirit isn't going to manifest as much as you think you as the person sitting there wants to see them.
Exactly.
Because you're carrying or harboring something. You've really got to walk into a medium, really open to receive.
Yeah.
And not carry residual energy. That's why I love Reiki so much, because
Yeah.
Reiki can clean that out before you have your visits and help you have a better connection.
I think probably my two best examples of somebody, when you said about being open and not carrying, there was a lady came in, sat down, where you are, and she went, so who's there?
Yeah.
Beg your pardon? I've not said it. So yeah, dead people, who's there? I went, oh, right, okay. And there was another lady, a friend of mine, who she lives in, it's just south of Boston, in Massachusetts. I should remember that. No, because it's...
I'm going south of Boston, so I'm
No,
in my
it's
brain
got-
going Quincy,
No,
down
because
on the Cape.
it's got the same name as a town in this country, and I can't remember it for the life of me.
Good
Anyway,
Lord.
she calls
Newcastle.
No, I will remember. I will.
Newfield.
Anyway, she calls me and says, Andrew, Patty, my sister-in-law died 2 weeks ago. Get her down here now. And this lady cries her heart out on the phone. And there was just a number of things I said, would you like your knees? She went, oh my God, that was the last conversation we had. And it wasn't huge stuff. It wasn't this mind, earth-moving stuff. It was just, that was the last conversation we
It's
had.
simple things.
And she said, please should carry on talking.
Yeah.
You know, and then she ended up laughing and crying, and you know, and I think if you come to a reading and you just say, what have you got?
Right.
Just what's there,
What's
okay?
there? I think sometimes we're better than psychologists, and not to knock the psychology profession, but we don't sit there quiet. We impart information from people who know you best,
Yeah.
right?
Well, my son's
Very intimate information.
my son's a psychology major now, and he
Yeah.
had to study a unit on what I do.
Yeah.
And he said, Dad, I can't believe I've got to study your work as part of my psychology major.
It makes them
Yeah.
better psychologists.
Yes.
It really, truly does. And I've actually been taking psychology now. I'm a huge groupie. People who know me will tell you I love Jordan Peterson. I'm watching his lectures on YouTube. I highly recommend you go check his lectures out. But he's opened up my thoughts and my feelings too. And he says, one of the great things he says, I act as if God exists.
Yeah.
Well, this is where I'm going to say as a psychic, I know God exists. I don't act as if, I do act, but I act because I know He exists, because I'm looking for the good. And you just add the O to God and it's good.
Yeah.
So that's really important to me, and just always learning, right?
Yeah.
Psychology, there are
Spirit can only learn with what you know.
Correct.
Oh, sorry, they can only work with what you know. And I can promise you there are times when I've maybe gone to do a church service, a spiritual church service.
Yeah.
I've turned the radio on, and there's been some random interview, and I was like,
This
okay.
is important, you need to know it.
Yeah. I stand on the platform, I stand there, and I go, and that is like replayed in my head, and I go, who would understand this? And somebody would go, and I was like, no way.
Yeah.
And that nugget of knowledge I've just been given.